Ignore them. Every single one of them. The critics, the doubters, the ones who whisper behind your back when they think you can't hear. The people who measure your potential by your past. The ones who tell you what's realistic as if they've ever stepped foot in the world you dream of conquering. Ignore the noise. Block out the static. Silence the voices that say you're not ready because they're not living your life. They don't carry your hunger. They don't feel that fire burning in your chest every time you wake up and know deep down you were made for more. They can't see the vision you've carried for years because it's not theirs to see. That's the thing about dreams. They're invisible to the eyes of those who were never meant to walk your path. You can't wait for them to understand you. You can't wait for them to clap for you. You can't wait for them to finally approve. Because if you do, you'll wait forever. And while you're waiting, time will keep moving. Opportunities will slip through your fingers. Doors will close. And the truth is, no one is going to come and hand you your moment wrapped in a silver ribbon. Blocking out the noise means making a conscious decision to separate yourself from the constant stream of opinions, judgments, and negativity that the world throws at you. Every day, you are surrounded by people who think they know what's best for you, who try to tell you what's possible and what isn't, who measure your worth based on their limited perspective. This noise can come from strangers, from friends, from family, and even from your own mind. It's the background static that makes you doubt yourself, question your path, and sometimes even pause in the middle of progress. The problem is, if you let that noise seep into your decisions, you start building a life that's shaped by other people's fears and limitations instead of your own vision. You begin to compromise on your dreams because someone else didn't believe in them. You shrink your goals to make other people more comfortable. You play small so you won't draw criticism, and in doing so, you start to suffocate the very fire that makes you unique. Blocking out the noise is not about arrogance or thinking you're above feedback. It's about recognizing the difference between constructive advice and destructive opinion. Not everyone who speaks into your life is qualified to direct it. Many times, people criticize you because your ambition makes them confront their own lack of action. Your boldness makes them uncomfortable because it shines a light on the areas where they settled. So, they project their insecurities onto you, disguising it as concern or realism. The truth is, they're not thinking about what's best for you. They're thinking about what feels safest for them. If you listen to them, you'll inherit their limitations. That's why you must guard your focus like it's your most valuable possession, because it is. Focus is what turns ideas into action, action into progress, and progress into achievement. And every ounce of mental energy you spend entertaining someone's doubt is energy taken away from your own execution. The mind works best when it's not split between chasing a vision and defending it. Every time you stop to justify your goals to someone who can't see them, you lose momentum. You slow down to match the pace of people who aren't even in the race. The most successful people in any field have mastered the art of selective hearing. They know what to tune into and what to block out. They protect their mental space like it's sacred, because it is. Your vision is a seed, and noise is like weeds. It chokes the growth before it has a chance to sprout. The only way to protect it is to create a mental environment where it can thrive without interference. This might mean distancing yourself from certain voices, even if they're close to you. It might mean avoiding conversations that drag you into doubt. It might mean reminding yourself daily why you started and where you're going. You have to train yourself to hear the voice inside you louder than the voices outside you, because that inner voice knows your potential in ways the outside world never will. Blocking out the noise is not just a defensive strategy, it's an offensive one. It's about creating the clarity and mental strength to move forward without hesitation, without second guessing, and without carrying the unnecessary weight of everyone else's expectations. It's choosing to live by your own convictions rather than by the limits others try to place on you. It's refusing to let someone else's small thinking become the ceiling for your life. Your time is now, because waiting for the perfect moment is a trap that keeps people stuck for years, sometimes for a lifetime. There is no perfect time when everything will align exactly the way you want it. Life will never pause to clear the obstacles for you, to remove every distraction, or to give you a neatly wrapped opportunity. The conditions you're hoping for will always be just slightly out of reach. And if you keep waiting for them, you'll watch years pass by while your goals remain in the distance. The truth is, you are as ready now as you will ever be, because readiness is not something you wait for. It's something you decide. The people who move forward in life are not those who have all the answers, all the resources, or all the confidence from the start. They are the ones who step forward despite the uncertainty, despite the fear, despite the lack of guarantees. They understand that momentum is built through action, not through endless preparation. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to start, because hesitation turns into habit. Every day you put off pursuing your vision is another day you train your mind to believe that it's okay to delay. But the truth is, time is the one resource you can never get back. You can recover money, you can rebuild relationships, you can regain health to some extent, but you cannot rewind the clock. There are opportunities that will only exist for a short window, and if you miss them, they're gone. Life changes, markets shift, people move on, and what was possible today might be impossible tomorrow. That is why urgency matters. When you understand that the clock is ticking whether you act or not, you stop playing the waiting game and start making moves. Acting now doesn't mean you're reckless. It means you understand that progress is made through doing, not just planning. You don't have to see the entire path to take the first step, you only need to see enough to move forward. With each step, the path becomes clearer, and the confidence you thought you needed before starting actually comes from starting itself. There will always be fear before you begin, but that fear loses power once you take action. You might fail along the way, but failure is not the enemy, stagnation is. Failure teaches you, sharpens you, and prepares you in ways that waiting never could. People waste years avoiding mistakes when in reality those mistakes would have been the very experiences to give them the wisdom they need to succeed. The difference between those who create the life they want and those who only dream about it is simple action. Dreams don't die from being impossible, they die from inaction. You cannot build anything in your head, you have to build it in the real world. That requires moving now with whatever you have from wherever you are. If you don't feel ready, that's exactly when you should begin, because the discomfort you feel is proof that you're stepping into growth. Comfort zones are where time slips away unnoticed, and before you realize it, years have passed with nothing to show for them. The reality is you are not promised another year, another month, or even another day. All you have is this moment, and what you choose to do with it will either bring you closer to your goals or leave you in the same place you've been. The choice will never be easier than it is right now, and the more you delay, the more life will give you reasons to keep delaying. That is why you cannot wait. You must claim your moment, take the leap, and trust that you'll figure it out along the way, because if you don't, someone else will, and they'll live the life you were meant to have. Discipline over motivation is the difference between those who start and those who finish, between those who talk about their goals and those who achieve them. Motivation is a powerful spark. It can ignite passion, lift your energy, and push you to take the first step. But like any spark, it burns out quickly if it's not sustained. You can feel motivated in the morning and drained by the afternoon. You can be inspired by a video, a speech, or a quote, but that feeling fades once the excitement wears off and the reality of consistent effort sets in. Discipline is what takes over when motivation disappears. It's the commitment to act regardless of how you feel, to show up when it's inconvenient, to push forward even when you'd rather quit. Discipline doesn't depend on emotion. It's rooted in choice, in habit, in the decision that your goals matter more than your temporary comfort. It's easy to act when you feel like it. The real test is acting when you don't. That's why discipline is the backbone of every success story. The athletes who train before sunrise, the entrepreneurs who keep building after rejection, the artists who keep creating even when inspiration feels far away, they all rely on discipline, not motivation. Discipline is built through repetition. Every time you do the hard thing when you don't feel like it, you strengthen that muscle. Over time, it becomes automatic. You don't have to negotiate with yourself. You don't have to rely on willpower alone. You simply follow through because that's who you've trained yourself to be. Without discipline, you're at the mercy of your mood, and moods are unpredictable. You might feel motivated for a week, but when challenges hit or progress slows, that feeling can vanish overnight. Discipline carries you through those seasons because it's not about excitement, it's about execution. It's waking up for your goals the same way you wake up for a job you can't afford to lose. Not because you feel like it every day, but because you understand the cost of not showing up. Motivation whispers, "I'll do it when I'm ready." Discipline says, "I'll do it until I'm ready." Motivation waits for the perfect time to act. Discipline creates the time. Motivation thrives in comfort. Discipline grows in discomfort. And the truth is, all real growth happens outside of comfort. Discipline also gives you freedom. It may sound like a restriction, but in reality, it removes the constant mental debate about whether you will take action or not. That mental energy can now be spent on improving your craft, solving problems, and staying creative. Without discipline, you are always starting over, because inconsistency erases progress. Every time you stop, you lose momentum. Every time you skip the work, you weaken your commitment. But when you stay disciplined, even in small daily actions, the compound effect kicks in. Those small, consistent efforts stack up into results that motivation alone could never produce. Discipline also protects you from distraction. When you're disciplined, you don't get pulled away by every shiny object or temporary pleasure. You've already decided what matters most, and you've built the habits to support it. And those habits, over time, create the results that outsiders call talent or luck. The truth is, most success is neither. It's discipline applied daily in moments when no one is watching and no one is clapping. That's the secret edge. It's not about working only when it feels good. It's about working until it's done. and then doing it again tomorrow. Running your own race means refusing to measure your progress by someone else's timeline or achievements. It's about understanding that life is not a single, standardized path where everyone must hit milestones at the same age or in the same order. Yet, in today's world, comparison has become effortless. You can open your phone and instantly see the highlight reels of hundreds of other people's lives, their wins, their breakthroughs, their celebrations. What you don't see are the failures, the sleepless nights, the uncertainty, the sacrifices that came before those moments. When you start comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20, you create unnecessary pressure and self-doubt. You start to feel like you're behind, like you're missing out, like you're failing simply because your journey doesn't look like theirs. But the truth is, your pace is your pace for a reason. The challenges you've faced, the skills you're building, the lessons you're learning, all of these are shaping you in a way that is unique to your story. Running your own race means focusing on your lane and not getting distracted by what's happening in the next one. It's like a runner in a competition who keeps looking over at the other lanes. Every glance slows them down. The more you look around, the less attention you give to your own stride, and before you know it, you've lost the momentum you had. Life works the same way. Constant comparison steals your focus, your energy, and your joy. Progress is not always visible from the outside. Sometimes you're planting seeds that won't sprout for months or years, but that doesn't mean you're stagnant. Just because someone else's results are showing faster doesn't mean they're ahead of you. It just means their season is different from yours. The danger of trying to match their timeline is that you might force yourself into steps you're not ready for or skip the preparation you actually need. That shortcut might look like progress now, but it can cost you long-term growth. Your goals, your values, and your vision should be the compass you use to measure success, not someone else's scoreboard. If you let their pace dictate yours, you might end up crossing a finish line that doesn't even belong to you. When you commit to running your own race, you allow yourself the patience to grow at the speed that's right for you. You stop rushing milestones just for validation, and you start building a foundation that will actually sustain your success. This doesn't mean you ignore inspiration from others. It means you draw motivation without letting it turn into unhealthy comparison. You recognize that their path can inspire you, but it cannot replace the work you have to do in your own lane. Running your own race also requires self-awareness. You have to know what you're chasing and why, because if your goals are built on impressing others, you'll constantly shift directions to match whatever you think will gain approval. That's exhausting and unsustainable. But when you're grounded in your own purpose, you can withstand the pressure to compete with anyone except the version of yourself from yesterday. That's the only competition that truly matters, becoming better than who you were the day before. When you focus on your lane, you stop obsessing over whether you're ahead or and start realizing that the only thing that matters is whether you're moving forward. Every step, no matter how small, is progress in your race, and as long as you keep running, you can't lose. Being willing to walk alone is one of the hardest, but most necessary parts of chasing something bigger than yourself. When you decide to pursue a dream, a vision, or a goal that is beyond what most people around you are aiming for, you quickly realize that not everyone will understand you. Some will question you, some will doubt you, and some will quietly pull away because your ambition reminds them of the things they chose not to pursue. This is where loneliness often enters the picture. Not because you're unloved or unworthy of connection, but because your path is narrow and not everyone is willing to travel it. Walking alone doesn't mean you're cutting everyone off or isolating yourself from the world. It means you're willing to keep going even when you have to do it, without applause, without constant validation, and without a crowd behind you. Most people are comfortable when they're surrounded by agreement and approval. The moment that support fades, they hesitate or stop altogether. But real growth, the kind that changes your life, often requires moving forward without the safety net of universal approval. When you're walking alone, the silence can be uncomfortable at first. You no longer have people constantly reassuring you that you're on the right path. Instead, you have to develop the ability to reassure yourself. You have to become your own motivator, your own coach, your own accountability partner. That's where resilience is built. The isolation you feel in those moments is not a punishment, it's a training ground. It forces you to dig deep, to clarify why you started, and to strengthen your conviction. Without the distraction of trying to please or convince others, you gain clarity about what truly matters to you. Walking alone also exposes who's genuinely in your corner. When you're no longer convenient to support, when your choices make others uncomfortable, when your growth creates distance, the ones who remain are the ones who truly care. This is valuable because it helps you release the weight of relationships that were never built to last the full journey. It's not that these people are bad, it's simply that not everyone is meant to go where you're going. The higher you climb, the smaller your circle tends to get, not because you're shutting people out, but because the air at higher altitudes isn't for everyone. The willingness to walk alone also protects your vision from being diluted. When too many voices influence your path, your focus scatters. Everyone has a different opinion about what you should do, and if you try to follow all of them, you end up lost. Being alone for stretches of the journey allows you to build without interference, to test your ideas without the constant pull of outside expectations. This solitude becomes a strength because it teaches you how to trust yourself. You learn to make decisions without needing approval, to act without hesitation, and to hold yourself accountable without external pressure. In a world where most people would rather blend in than stand out, the courage to walk alone is rare, and that's exactly why it's powerful. It separates the ones who dream from the ones who execute, the ones who wish from the ones who work. Many people start their journey expecting constant companionship, but the reality is that the most defining parts of your path will often be walked in silence, just you and your determination. That's where you prove to yourself that you want it badly enough to keep going. Not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. Letting your results speak the loudest means shifting your focus from proving yourself through words to proving yourself through action and achievement. It's the understanding that the most powerful response to doubt, criticism, or underestimation is not an argument, not a long explanation, but undeniable evidence of what you've accomplished. Words can be dismissed, twisted, or ignored, but results are concrete. They cannot be denied when they're standing in front of someone in the form of success, growth, or transformation. When you spend too much time trying to convince others of your worth, you drain the energy you could be using to actually create something worth noticing. People can debate opinions, but they cannot debate outcomes that are visible and measurable. This is why the quiet grind is so effective. Instead of announcing every move or seeking validation for every step, you work behind the scenes, building piece by piece until your progress is impossible to overlook. There's a certain power in the element of surprise. When people expect little from you, and you suddenly show them something they can't ignore, the impact is greater than if you had been broadcasting your plans all along. It also protects you from unnecessary pressure, because when you announce too soon, you open the door to opinions, doubts, and distractions before your work is ready to stand on its own. Letting results speak doesn't mean you never talk about your goals. It means you put far more emphasis on execution than on discussion. It's easy to speak confidently about what you're going to do. It's much harder to stay consistent enough to actually do it. When you focus on results, you build credibility. People begin to trust your word because they've seen you follow through. Over time, you develop a reputation not for talking big, but for delivering. That reputation becomes a form of influence and respect that no amount of self-promotion could buy. It also changes how criticism affects you. When you've put in the work and have something tangible to show for it, other people's opinions lose their grip on you because you know you have proof of your ability. You're no longer seeking validation, you're simply building. Results also inspire more effectively than words. When people see what you've done, they don't just hear your advice, they witness the living example of what's possible. This makes your success a tool for encouragement and influence, whether or not you intended it to be. And in the process, you start attracting opportunities that wouldn't have come if you were still stuck in the stage of convincing people with promises. The discipline to let your results do the talking requires patience, because real results take time. You have to be willing to endure the silence, the lack of recognition, and sometimes even the doubt from others while you're in the building phase. But that patience pays off when the breakthrough happens and there's no need to justify yourself anymore. The evidence is right there for everyone to see. The satisfaction of that moment isn't just improving others wrong, it's improving yourself right. It's the deep sense of knowing that you stayed the course, that you honored your vision, and that you turned it into reality without wasting your energy trying to win temporary approval along the way.